Hey everybody, Omar here, your South African knife guy, and I'm back with another fun-filled video for you. And this particular video, I kind of picked out 16 knives in my entire vast knife collection to explain how my collection works. And we're starting off with 6 production knives and why they're in my collection. So here goes. And the knives are elevating as I go up to explain. So the first one is basically, it's a budget knife. This one's by Kershaw. It's called the Highball. That's what this knife is. It's called the Kershaw Highball XL. It's about 3.2 inches, real quickly. You access it through this nail nick. It's really great little knife here. And this is just an example of a good budget knife. This knife is roughly, you can find it on eBay for like freaking 50 bucks or under. I've seen it on some websites for like $30, and it's a really good knife. D2 steel, it runs on ball bearings. It's nice and smooth. You have some like slight customization there with the blue anodized aluminum pivot there and the aluminum back spacer. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. It's just a really good, nice deep pocket clip there for you to clip onto your pants. And the nail nick works really well. So that's it for the budget. The next knife is a step up from this knife. This is the Kershaw Iridium. This is not exactly a high-end knife. This is more like a mid-range knife. But they do make this in the low budget series if you're interested in that. And I'm actually going to do a full video on this knife. But this one is what's called a special edition knife. It runs on ball bearings, not runs on ball bearings. This is a perfect example of what's called their Duralock, sort of similar to Benchmade's Access Lock. They did a really great job. It's an all carbon fiber. And what's interesting about this knife is that it's mostly all carbon fiber, and there's nothing else in the knife to weigh it down. In fact, there's no liners in this. What they have here is some kind of like subliner on the inside of the knife. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like right there on the inside of the knife. Pretty interesting the way they have it, but it's only on one side of the knife, so that makes the knife really, really very, very light. Really nice action with the Duralock, all carbon fiber. You have a little splash of color there. I don't know if that's actually orange or red or what is that. Can't really tell. It looks like it's kind of burnt orange, but I think in some parts of the light it's red. That's also made of aluminum, but this works really, really well. It's perfectly centered. You have a really decent pocket clip there. Really very nice. Now the next knife has been around for about 20 years now, and this is the Kershaw 0562, very popular piece, still around. It's been around for like freaking 20 years, this knife. I don't think it's ever going to go away. It's never left the zero tolerance lineup. It's still there, and you can still buy it. This is the first high-end production knife a lot of people have come across, and the knife, I believe it used to run for right around $240. Now it's like probably like $260. I think it's over like $300 now for this knife. So it's a very, very expensive piece. And it's a perfect example of of really, really high-end quality. You're talking about a knife that's all titanium liner, all titanium frame lock, right? with one slab of carbon fiber going across it for aesthetics. Really well built, perfectly centered. This is not a thumb stud. It's a blade stop, but you can open it as if it were a thumb stud. It's not recommended that you do that, but you can do it if you want to do it. And this is actually the knife I think that started the whole knife collecting thing, because for the first, I think like right around when this knife came out, I think it was what, 2004 or 5 or something like that when this knife came out. Everybody was talking about this knife. This knife, along with the Benchmade, this knife, along with the Benchmade Osborne and the Paramilitary, those three knives in line are exactly the same as far as quality, high-end quality build. Everybody has either this knife in their collection, a Paramilitary in their collection, or the Benchmade Osborne 940 in their collection. And this is one of the really, really good high-end knives that everybody's familiar with, and that's why it's in my collection. Yeah, the action's really nice on it. It's just a beautiful, overall, high-quality, well-built knife. The next knife, we see a change in my thought process as far as production knives go. I still wanted a good production knife, but I was looking for something different, like this is where you start to learn about customization and what they're doing with knives, even in the production world. This one is by Kambu. Don't ask me what the name of this knife is because I really don't remember it. I knew this was going to happen. But this knife is in my collection for a lot of reasons. Number one, the action was really very, very smooth. It's a frame lock, right? This is really a knife, a perfect example of amazing CNC machining. Look at all of the detailed milling on this knife. That's why it's in my collection. I mean, you've got all these freaking lines going across it, and you have all these little like loops and, you know, just really nice looking designs going across the knife. The fact that it's nice and smooth, I loved it. I love the two-tone, you know, like the flats, the CNC machining. This is not hand rubbed, but this is done by CNC machining, the finishing on it. It's just a perfect example of what you can do with CNC machining. And this knife is just gone way overboard with all of the, like all of the like the milling all over it. If you can't really see it in this light, but if you look really closely, there's like these tiny, tiny lines of milling going all across the knife. There isn't one part of this knife that doesn't have any milling on it. I thought that was interesting. The nice black wash pocket clip I thought I liked. And plus, of course, the inside was all CNC machine. You can see these sort of like pockets inside the knife that kind of weigh down the titanium on this. This is a full titanium knife. And I just looked at that and I thought, I'm probably never going to see something like that ever again. So I got that one. God, I really wish I could remember the name of this one. Anyway, this one's made by Best Tech Knives, by the way, in case you're interested. This is a Best Tech knife. This is the next knife in my collection. This one, man, boy, I really wish I could remember. I got this knife also from Best Tech. God, I wish they put the names on these. This knife kind of interested me because of the way it was designed. Number one, it's all blue carbon fiber, really brilliant in the way that they constructed the knife with the blue carbon fiber on it. Not only that, but the model itself and how it was designed. If you notice, when you hold the knife in your hand, your pinky is the smallest, right? And your index finger is the largest. So that's how they designed the knife. So when you put the knife in your hand, it feels like, you know, because your hand forms a cone. So you get a really good purchase on the knife when you're holding it. I thought that was an interesting feature on the knife. Plus, the forward flipper was something I'd never seen before. This is not a front flipper, but it's a forward flipper. And basically, you just flip it like that. It's up at the top. It runs on ball bearings. Really, really good quality knife. This is a titanium folder liner lock. I just thought it was fantastic. And a really nice gentleman folder. You could probably bring this to work. Not bring it to work, but if you're allowed to carry knives, and you're in an office setting, this makes like a nice office knife, maybe to open up envelopes or whatever. Again, CNC machining on the blade finish there, going, downward like that. It's kind of interesting. I've never, at the time, I'd never seen a knife that looked like that. Plus this dip here, making it a real super thin slicer that I thought that was really, really great and very well done. I just like the overall look of the knife, that's all. And the fact that it was a forward flipper. The next one, and the last production knife that I picked out to be in this video is from WE Knives. This is made by WE Knives, designed by Gus Guccini for WE Knives. It's got what's called a spring-loaded tab. If you look at it head-on, you can see there's no flipper on it. Right, there's no flipper on this, but what they do have is this thing called a spring-loaded tab. That's this right there. So that's a new form of deployment that I've never seen on a knife before. He did make a knife like this for zero tolerance called the 055, and it was same exact concept, but it wasn't as well done as this one, which pretty much told me that he actually made an improvement on how the knife deploys. But basically, it's kind of like a charger on a gun, if you want to look at it that way. Basically, you pull back on the flipper, and then you just push, and the knife will pop right out. So that, I thought, was a good enough reason for me to have the knife. Plus, it's an integral, meaning it's all one piece of metal. That's another reason why this was in my collection. I love integral knives, and there's so few of them out there. It's not really a popular enough design to continue to keep producing. Plus, it's very expensive to make a knife that's all one piece of titanium. But as you guys know, most knives are made with two halves of titanium or carbon fiber, and this is just all one piece of metal. I just thought it was great, so that's why this knife is in my collection. And I can't remember the name of this knife. I really got to stop doing that because I know it sucks. But yeah, so this was one of those. But at least you can remember that it's a spring-loaded tab and it's made by Gus Guccini. I just really liked it a lot. It's also a big sucker. Very, very heavy knife. And as a result, just really nice. Plus the color combination between like the bronze, all straight bronze, and black wash is really, really nice. So I like that. So that's the end of the production knives. I only picked out 6 of them, and that's a good enough reason to explain advancement. We're going to move on now to some customs, and those I've got about 10 of them. So as you guys know, I am a South African knife collector. All the knives on here are South African knives, except for these 2. Those were, because I wanted to show customs in general, not just what I'm into, but if anybody else out there is interested in maybe going into customs and maybe considering having a custom knife collection at some point, you're probably going to want to figure out, well, what kind of knife can I get? So I thought I'd start out with with 2 American customs to explain. So this one is made by Adam Purvis. He's more into CNC machining. So this is more like it's not necessarily a custom. It is a custom knife, but it's not a one-of-a-kind custom. You know what I mean? You can order this on his website. It's called the Rook. Wow, there you go. I actually remember the name of a knife. That's what happens when you have a collection this gigantic that you don't remember the names of the knife. But this one's called the Rook. And we've got these carbon fiber inlays on the knife here. And it's a frame lock. It's on both sides of the knife. Plus, it's polished off with a Damascus pocket clip. So this is where you start to see some customization going on. You're not going to find stuff like this on a production knife, like on the first 6 set of knives that I showed you. There's not going to be a lot of special stuff going on. And that's why you get into custom knives, because just the look, the feel, the quality of how the knives are built. And Adam Purvis is really, really good at it. This is one of his signature knives called the Rook, and it's an American custom. You can go to his website, Adam Purvis Knives. He's mostly known as the pocket clip guy. Yeah, and this is one of the knives on his website that he offers as a, as a custom knife, and it's really well built. It is a frame lock, very well built. Just an amazing piece. He has another custom called the Primordial. Yeah, that one's another one that's pretty famous, but this is his knife that's a Rook. So he chose very wisely what kind of knives to pick out, because he's got like the Primordial, which is sort of like this monster custom knife, and then he's got this, which is the Rook, which is sort of reminiscent to this knife here, where it's more like a gentleman carry. You remember I showed you this one a while back, which was made by Bestech. So yeah. In any case, it's sort of the same concept. It's a thin knife, but more of a custom, right? So that's why that one's in my collection. So this first knife here, coming up right now, has no name to it. That's one of the reasons why I don't remember names anymore, because I'm into custom knives, and a lot of them don't really have names. This one is made by Jason Clark. You actually refer to the knife by the maker. This is an actual custom, American custom by an American custom knife maker. His name is Jason Clark. Now this is where the price of knives start to go way up there. The price range for this knife, I believe, is right around $400 for this one. How about we double the price on it for this one right here? This is made by Jason Clark, and I'm going to explain why it's so expensive. This one is made by hand. Unlike this knife here, this one's made probably by CNC machining. So, or half CNC machining, half made by hand, but there is CNC machining made on this one here. Not on this. On this is completely made by hand. Or if there's any machines used in the making of this knife, it's usually a machine that's made by the maker just to make his own knife. Does that make any sense? So you're talking custom on top of custom. A signature way you can tell a custom knife, in many cases, not all, but some, and Jason Clark is one of them. This material here is zirconium, and this material here is carbon fiber. If I run my fingers across it, I cannot feel the difference between the zirconium and the carbon fiber, but yet I know it's two materials that made up this knife. But you should feel some kind of separation here, but I don't feel any. And that's one of the reasons why these knives are so expensive, is because they're very well built by hand. We have a dagger blade here, an M390. It runs on ceramic ball bearings. It's very, very smooth. And this is in my collection, again, as sort of a gentleman folder, but it's a custom, right? Gentleman folder, but it's custom. So we're going to move on. This one is wild. Okay, again, there's no name. This one's made by J.P. Martin. He is a French knife maker, so this is a French knife. So these two were American customs. This is a French custom, because again, I wanted to show everybody that I don't just collect South African knives. Every once in a while, if I see a knife that's a very, very high quality, I'll get it. And this one is made by J.P. Martin. There's no name for this one. It's just a really fantastic folder. It's got a nice Wharncliffe blade. This one does not run on ball bearings. Both these knives here run on ball bearings, which is why they're so freaking smooth, right? Just real smooth. This one doesn't have ball bearings in it, but yet it's so smooth. So beautifully smooth. You got a nice Wharncliffe style blade, perfectly centered. And as you notice, they have two Timascus inlays, but no pocket clip, right? There's no pocket clip on the knife. Or is there a pocket clip on the knife? What do you guys think? This one, is there a pocket clip or not? How about yes? Check that out. It's got a hidden pocket clip. Who the hell wouldn't want to have this in their collection, right? So basically you press here, and then even this part of the pocket clip will slide out to give you enough purchase to put it on your pants. And then when you pull it out, it gets nice and flat, and it looks exactly like this side. So it's got a hidden pocket clip. That's why I like it. The carbon fiber handle scales are amazing on this. Just really very well built, very smooth. I've never seen anything like it, especially nothing with a you know, a hidden pocket clip. You gotta have something that's cool. It's almost like a James Bond type of thing, right? Hey, thanks for the shout out on that knife for the We Knife Solid. I couldn't remember that, so I wanna say thanks to you, by the way. Jabafo, is that how you say your name, Jabafo? Thank you so much for that information. I'm happy you did that because I sound like an idiot. Anyway, the next knife. This one is one of my newer customs in my collection, by a new knife maker. I'm actually going to have a chat with him later today. His name is Barry Bernhardt. And this one is called the Nix Flipper. Why did I get this knife? Well, a lot of reasons. Number one, this one is a lot like, again, these thin, gentlemanly custom folders, but what makes this knife so unique, number one, guys, are you ready? It only weighs 1.6 ounces. I mean, this guy is as light as a feather. The way it was built, there's no liners in here. The entire handle is all carbon fiber, and all we have is this sub-frame lock right in here. Can you see that? And it runs all the way down into the knife, and it's mounted inside the carbon fiber up to about here on one side of the knife only, meaning this scale here is all carbon fiber. There's nothing else on this side of the knife. It's only down in here, and it only goes up to there. That's why it's so freaking light. We've got a blue titanium pocket clip with no screw. These two screws have nothing to do with the pocket clip being mounted. I don't even know how the hell he mounts the pocket clip in this one, because I've been looking and I can't see it anywhere. I've been trying to I wanted to ask him. In fact, I'm probably going to ask him after I'm done with this video, because I'm going to have a chat with him later. Barry Bernhardt is a friend of mine, so I kind of struck up a friendship with him. I also like the way he's done the concaved area here on the pivot, where it's concave. He did this whole thing by hand. It takes time to sit there and just do that on both sides of the knife. It's amazing, amazing work. We've got an M390 blade. Probably the coolest thing about Barry Bernhardt is his logo. I've never seen anything like that, where it's like two B's together like that. It kind of looks like I don't know, for some reason it reminds me of like a deck of cards or something. I don't know. Really, really sweet. This next custom is by a very close friend of mine. You can check out his website. His name is Henny Duplessis, and he made this custom for me. I own 6 of his knives. This is the one that I picked out for this video. Why this was in my collection and how this knife is showing elevation in my collection. It's the first. Oh, actually, I probably should have done this. Well, not forget it. It's the first full dress piece knife. So if you look at this knife very closely compared to, say, this knife here, This is what's called a full dress piece. So let me explain. A full dress piece, if you look at this knife here, this is a custom knife, yes, but there's no art on this part of the knife, is there? It's just a solid titanium backspacer and nothing here. The only art you see are the carbon fiber scales and the zirconium with the pocket clip and the bolsters. That's it. The blade doesn't have any art on it, right? It's just a dagger blade. That's not a full dress piece. A full dress piece is where you pick up the knife, flip it, and everywhere you look, there's some kind of art on there. And that's what this knife represents. Full dress piece art, which will tell you this knife is incredibly expensive. So what we have here are Damascus bolsters, carbon fiber scales on here, a Damascus blade, really pretty. And the Damascus on this blade, I've never had this kind of Damascus before. It's textured. You can actually feel the Damascus on that. I've never ever had that on a knife before. There's Henny's logo right there. Custom knife makers will usually put the logo either on the front of the blade, or sometimes if they're really cool, they put it in a place on the knife where you have to find it. Usually they put it on the inside of the spine. Here I asked them to do that on the knife. You can see his name right there. And his wife's name is on the knife as well, because she's the one that did the engraving on the backspacer there. If there's any engraving done on the knife, you'll see both their names on the knife. And here we've got a very well engraved backspacer. The backspacer on this knife doesn't even represent 1/132 of her talent as an engraver. You're going to see a much more better representation of her engraving on my final knife that I'm going to show you. But here my name is on it. I asked them to do that. I wanted sort of like a little personalization there on the knife. I thought that was pretty important to do, just to have my name on there. I've never had a knife with my name on it, so that's this one. We're also taking a look at the backspacer here. We've got some rope file work on there on top of the engraving, so this is a nutty, all nuts, full-blown custom, and of course a Damascus pocket clip. Front flipper, by the way, also. So that's this knife here. Speaking of engraving, this is the beginning of engraved knives. This is the Andre Thorburn L38 front flipper. This is actually the very first custom I ever bought that was made for me. I never had that before. I never heard of anybody making a knife, so I got this knife about, Jesus, it's got to be about 10 years ago now. I had this one made by Andre Thorburn. If it doesn't look like it's used, it's because I really cleaned it up really well. But I've been using this knife on a regular basis. We've got an eagle head on the top and for the bolster. And then we've got white Westinghouse for the handle. Now, there's two types of white Westinghouse. There's white Westinghouse micarta, which is a completely different thing. And then there's regular white Westinghouse. Now, this white Westinghouse here, which is sort of beige colored, this is from old refrigerator material that they found, I believe, in South Africa somewhere after a warehouse burned down, and they realized that this material could be used as knife material. And there's very limited quantity supplies of this material. There's very few knife makers that even have this type of white Westinghouse available to them to make knives. In fact, it's pretty much all non-existent and all gone now. You're not going to find it anywhere. At the time that I got this knife, it was like, I think I paid like $8.50 for it. The same knife, if this material were around and it's still made today, it's probably going to cost you probably like, I don't know, $1,200 for the same knife. And it's not even a full dress piece, if you know what I'm saying. We've got file work on the back. The back spacer is not carbon fiber, it's G10. it's G10. You can tell the difference between G10 and carbon fiber real easily. If you take a look at the carbon fiber knife, you'll see strands in the middle of the knife. You see the strands running across there? That's carbon fiber. G10 is shiny and there's no strands. It's just a straight, looks like a piece of plastic basically, and it's basically filler material. But it's the same as using it for a knife material. It's basically used in case to like lower the price of custom knives. They put in G10 in there, and of course you guys are familiar with G10 and a lot of the production knives that are out there. This knife here is one of my favorites. Another full dress piece. This one's in my collection because I wanted to show a knife that was made by a very, very well-known, very famous knife maker. His name is Des Horn. And he made this knife. He didn't make it for me, but I picked it up at the Blade Gallery. And I just thought it was fantastic knife to have in my collection. It's a front flipper. You kind of sort of slow roll it, and a button lock. So this is his version of the button lock. And it's not a knife that you flick out really fast. It's more of a gentleman folder, a knife that you would wear with a suit. Yeah, it's called the button lock. That's the name of the knife. He's got very interesting pivots, like sort of like look like jewelry on there. This is zirconium and this is carbon fiber. Even his screws look like jewelry. I mean, it's just pretty cool. He's got this sort of laminate shellac over the carbon fiber. I don't know what that is, and I never bothered to ask him, but I should, because I've never seen anything like it. This knife does not have a pocket clip, but it does come with a leather slip, and yeah, it's got Damascus blade. There's his name right there, Des Horn. If you're into South African knives, or anyone that's into South African knives, this guy's so popular that even if you're not into South African knives, but you're into knives in general, you say the name Des Horn, you know who he is and what you're talking about and what they're talking about. That's how popular Des Horn is. He's getting up there in age. I believe he's in his 70s now. So I also forgot to show you that the back spacer is also Damascus. That's one of the things I find interesting about Des Horn is that he doesn't use, like when he's making his back spacers, if it's made out of Damascus, it's not really prominent that you can see it on the knife like you do, say, with some other knife makers. I don't think I have a knife in here that's got Damascus on. Nope, I don't. But you can barely even tell that it's Damascus, but it is Damascus. You just can't really see it. It's so finite with the design on there. I don't know. I don't know why he does that, but that's his style, and you buy custom knives for individuality, right? So I'm going to do these next two knives the same. If you guys notice, I'm going to talk about both these knives in the same, and as one. So this is the A11 custom. This one's unique because it's made by two people. Andre Thorburn and Andre Van Heerden, with Andre Van Heerden taking the lead on it. He takes the lead on this knife. And Andre Thorburn, I think he does the blade grinding or something. I'm not even sure who does what, but they're called A-square knives. A-square as in two Andres made this knife, right? Andre times Andre, A-square. A lot of people think that this logo here means A2. But see, what happened was, this is the old logo. You see the A and then the square on it. The new logo actually says A with the number 2 at the top, but then people started calling it A2 knives. As opposed to just A square, and it's like nobody gets it, but it's actually A square. So this knife runs on ceramic ball bearings as opposed to steel ball bearings. And the big difference is that with ceramic ball bearings, you don't need to oil them. because they're hard and inert, and they don't need to be oiled. Reason being is that steel ball bearings, they need to be oiled every once in a while because steel ball bearings produce heat, produce friction. Friction produces heat, and then that's how you get shoddy action with steel ball bearings if you don't oil them after a while. Ceramic ball bearings don't need to be oiled, but you should still oil them anyway for the longevity of your knife. And as an effect of using ceramic ball bearings, and I have to stress that, as an effect, it's just something that happens when they use ceramic ball bearings. That's not the reason they use ceramic ball bearings, but you actually get smoother action. That's just an effect. That's not the reason why custom knife makers use ceramic ball bearings. They use ceramic ball bearings for the longevity of your knife, so you don't have to worry about oiling the knife. So that's important. The next knife is the same model, and that's what I wanted to show in these two knives. You got the same model knife, A10 model, but completely two different configurations. This one's all carbon fiber, black, all carbon fiber snakeskin, you know, and it still looks as beautiful with the zirconium pivot and a milled titanium pocket clip, right? This one, there's more stuff on it, right? You've got zirconium for the bolster. You've got blue, these royal blue fat carbon fiber scales that just shout out at you. It's absolutely gorgeous. And carbon fiber backspacer, zirconium pocket clip, zirconium pivot. And this is the kicker on the knife. It's got a superconductor pivot ring on both sides, which is what makes this knife ridiculously expensive. It's just that little tiny piece of superconductor going around that ring there that bumps it up quite a lot. So yeah, the two prices on these two knives are completely different. This one's much, much more expensive. So we're finally coming to the end of my video. This is the ultimate in custom, okay? This one was made for me by Henny Duplessis, and the engraving was done by his wife, Ilse Duplessis. She, like I said earlier when I showed you this knife, this one doesn't even show the extent of her talent as an engraver because it's just got my name on there, and, you know, these little arrows are chewed up, and that's all she did on this knife. This one completely screams a real artist did this type of knife. We've got a dragon on this side of the knife, a little bit of splash of color there on the tail and the whiskers. I guess that's what they are, whiskers. Then you've got more black engraving in the background over here. She did that, and it doesn't stop there, guys. Flip it over. It continues. She has got this head of the dragon shooting up out of the ocean. That's what all this engraving here is. Right out of the, you know, right out of the ocean there, the dragon shooting up. Again, the whiskers, and then check this out. The pocket clip is part of the dragon. It's like I've never seen anything like. She actually lined it up so that it's almost like a 3D effect on there with the freaking dragon scales shooting up against the side of the dragon there. It's really beautiful work. More engraving on the back with the backspacer there, special design. File work done by Henny Duplessis on the back. There's so many things to talk about. It takes like an hour just to discuss it. We pop open the blade, and what do we have? A blade steel you've probably never seen before, dragon steel. This is, a lot of people, this steel is very controversial in the sense that a lot of people say it's just for looks. Other people say, well, no, it does have some really good cutting, you know, it would make a good cutting tool, and dragon steel is a good steel. So that's kind of controversial, but you got really nice purple color, or, you know, somewhat dark purple color on it. And then the kicker on this knife are these two bolsters here. Probably not something you've ever seen before if you're not into customs. Meteorite. Yes, folks, this is chunks of space rock that they put on the knife. And yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why it's so expensive. I've seen whole knives made out of this material. It's just really, really expensive. About as rare of a knife material as, say, the superconductor pivot ring that you saw on this one. So I kind of hope in some way, after going through these 16 knives, that you have a pretty good idea of why I collect custom knives. I hope I did the best despite not being able to remember the names of the knives. This is a good example of why I collect custom knives and South African custom knives and good high quality custom knives or good high quality knives in general. That's what this collection is supposed to explain. And as I went through all the knives, you notice there was an elevation in each knife that I went through. I mean, because to go from this to this, I wanted to explain, you know, how do you get there? How does this happen? You know, how does your collection work? I mean, it's not like I just have like a bunch of knives in my collection with no explanation. There's got to be a reason why I collect what I collect. And I just kind of wanted to show you guys, you know, how my mind works when I'm collecting. There has to be some significant change or some reason why it's in my collection. I don't want to just have a bunch of knives that make no sense to anybody. And each time you collect a new knife, you learn something new along the way and your knowledge goes up. So yes, you're spending a lot of money. At the same time, you're getting some really cool art, right? On your possession. And it's just another way of expressing yourself. And that's what these knives do. They kind of help me express myself. And that's definitely a reason why a lot of people have collections. Why they collect watches, why they collect, I don't know, matchbook covers, whatever. There's a reason they do what they do, and it's not like everybody's insane with knife collecting and whatever. I just wanted to kind of put it out there that people collect knives for a reason. It's a passion for them. They find something that they can connect with when they own a knife collection, and that's why all of us do that. Somehow, though, we post these things on Instagram and it looks like everybody's just insane and crazy. And that's not the case. We collect for a reason. We're learning something. We're getting something out of it. Yes, we're spending a lot of money on these things, but we're learning something at the same time. And we're meeting people as we, you know, do what we do. We're actually meeting some. I know this guy, Barry Barnard. I'm going to have a chat with him later on. He's a friend of mine. Henny Duplessis is a friend of mine. I know him. You know, I've chatted a couple of times with Adam Purvis, you know. So you build friendships along the way as well. So anyway, that's it for this video. I know it's gone long again, but just wanted to give you guys an idea why I collect custom knives, and that's it. I hope some of you guys, this has inspired some of you guys maybe to start your own knife collection, or maybe you'll find your passion somewhere else. Thank you so much for watching, and it's been fun doing this video, and I hope this kind of helped you out in some way. So enjoy the weekend. I've got Martin Luther King Monday off, so that's great. I got a nice 3-day weekend on my side. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you in my next video where I will do a full review on this knife here, which is just a blast. So, and this is one you guys can afford. This is the Kershaw Iridium. So look out for that video because that's coming soon. Thanks so much for watching, and you guys have a fantastic day.